Now I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Pham Quang Minh from the Vietnam National University of Social Sciences and Humanities and Vice President of the Vietnam-Canada Friendship Association. He received his PhD in Southeast Asian Studies from Germany and published extensively on international politics, the Asia-Pacific, and Vietnam's foreign policy. He is a visiting scholar at many universities in the world, including Japan, Indonesia, Thailand, France, and the United States. He has received the Medal of the Governor General of Canada, David Johnston, for his contributions to promoting studies of Canada in Vietnam in 2011. So please welcome Professor Dr. Pham Quang Minh.
Thank you very much, Steve, for your very kind introduction. Good morning, good evening to our friends from Canada Vietnam Friendship Society. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the Canada Vietnam Friendship Society for inviting me to give this talk on the occasion of the 76th anniversary of the August Revolution and Vietnam National Day. It is my great honor to be with you today. The topic of my presentation is No One Left Behind, Socialism in the Fight Against COVID-19. The current situation in Vietnam, as in other Southeast Asian countries, is that we are trying to deal with the pandemic. I see the connection between the anniversary of the August Revolution and the current fight against the pandemic. So I try to connect these two events. My presentation consists of 6 points. As you see, I try to approach the question from historical perspective because I am a historian. Number one, I will discuss the rationale of the immortal spirit of the August Revolution in 1945, when Vietnam gained independence from France and Japan. Second, I'll discuss the 3 enemies, namely famine, illiteracy, and the invader in the period of 1945 to 1954. Third, I'll talk about the 3 undertaking and the 3 rallies campaign during the Vietnam War in 1955-1975 to mobilize the people. Number 4, I'll analyze the success of the reform policy đổi mới that took place since 1986. Number 5, I'll discuss Vietnam's current fight against the pandemic, No One Left Behind. And last but not least, I will provide some concluding remarks. So number 1, first, I would like to discuss the immortal spirit of the August Revolution in 1945. The Vietnamese people, as you saw, remember very well that 76 years ago, under the leadership of President Ho Chi Minh and the Viet Minh, the Vietnamese people carry out the August Revolution to overthrow French colonial rule that exploited the Vietnamese for more than 80 years. On September 2nd, 1945, the Democratic Republic of Vietnam was established. And for the first time in history, the Vietnamese people were in charge of their government and country. As we have seen in the documentary, President Ho Chi Minh read the Declaration of Independence on September 2nd, 1945 in Ba Đình Square in Hanoi. Nevertheless, France returned for another 9 years until the defeat in 1954. Recently, on May 16, 2021, General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng published his article, Some theoretical and practical issue on socialism and the path towards socialism in Vietnam, which received a lot of attention from the Vietnamese people and the international community, because the main question here is whether there is a connection between socialism and independence and the struggle for freedom in Vietnam, and whether socialism chosen by the Vietnamese people 76 years ago is linked with our reality today. According to Mr. Chao, building socialism is about creating a new type of society, which is by no means a simple or easy task. This is a grand and innovative endeavor full of challenges and adversities. Now, I would like to discuss the campaign since Vietnam independent that have led to the building of Vietnam society today. After the establishment of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam in 1945, the Vietnamese faced three big problems at the same time. Number one, famine. Number two, illiteracy. And number three, the return of France. Ho Chi Minh and his government named these three enemies and called on the people to fight against these three enemies. President Ho Chi Minh started a gold witch campaign to call on the people, especially the rich and the business people, to donate their gold, silver, and money to the government treasury. The campaign was very successful. You can see on the left side of Ho Chi Minh with the donors. In the eliminating hunger campaign, people saved rice to donate to the poor. You can see people donated their rice to the poor people. President Ho Chi Minh initiated also the fighting illiteracy campaign. He said, "An ignorant people," I quote, "is a weak people." And he urged everyone to learn to read and write. Public school was open everywhere, and in just 1 year, 2.5 million people out of 22 million became literate. You can see the picture on the left. Ho Chi Minh visited a school and a child saw what he wrote. And when France returned in 1945, the Vietnamese people set up guerrilla and military units everywhere to fight against them. You see the picture on the right. Thus, we can see that from 1945 to 1946, the Vietnamese people was mobilized to fight against three enemies. The outcome was that in 1954, Vietnam defeated France at Dien Bien Phu. Vietnam gained independence, but only in the north, above the 17th parallel. The continuation of war between Vietnam and the US lasted from 1955 to 1975. Now, I would like to show how the Vietnamese people made sacrifice during the war with the US. They were mobilized in many campaigns, and here I would like to discuss just two, one for women and one for youth. The so-called three undertakings in Vietnamese Ba Đảm Đang campaign was directed for the women. What are three undertakings? Number one, to study and work, replacing the role of men who went to the front in the South. Second, to take care of the family and encourage their husband and son to go to the front. And number three, to be ready to fight when necessary. The campaign was very successful. You can see the women carry out the production tool in front, okay, the left picture, and a rifle in the back. And on the right side, you can see women transported weapons in the war with the US. So this is a so-called three undertakings campaign of women. The other campaign was very popular during the Vietnam War was the Three Red Days campaign for youth that was launched in 1964 amid the American escalation of the war in Vietnam with intensive bombing of the North. Three Red Days are: number one, to be ready to fight and fight courageously. Number two, to be ready to join an armed force. And number three, to be ready to go anywhere to do any task that the fatherland asks. Thanks to people sacrifice, Vietnam won the war and achieved reunification in 1975. After 1975, Vietnam reunifies as one country. However, it faced many difficulties, and in 1986, the Sixth Party Congress of the Communist Party of Vietnam made a decision to reform. This reform was comprehensive. Politically, it is a process of democratization. Economically, it is to transform from a centrally planned economy to a socialist-oriented market economy. Culturally, it is to revitalize traditional values. And internationally, Vietnam pursues diversification and multilateralism in foreign policy, being friendly and being a helpful partner with all countries. We can say that the reform has been mostly successfully after 35 years since 1986, with a lot of sacrifice from the Vietnamese people. And I would like to share some statistics. You can politically, for example, National Assembly, okay, is no longer the rubber stamp. Economically, here you can see Vietnam's growth rate over the course of 35 years has been at around 7% per year, being the fourth largest economy in ASEAN. Vietnam has become a lower middle income country since 2010. Trade and investment have increased significantly. Poverty rate declined, and especially the Human Development Index is very high, achieved 0.704. Okay. So you can see some statistics here. After 35 years of reform, Vietnam today is facing very big challenges in fighting the COVID-19 pandemics. Last year, Vietnam was one of the successful countries in fighting COVID, but this year, the situation has become very challenging. The number of infected cases are around, you can see here, 10,000 a day. And currently, there are over 300,000 infected cases, more than 300,000. And number of the deaths is over 8,000, as yesterday stated. So, facing these challenges, General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng discussed in his article on socialism, we need a society of compassion, solidarity, and mutual assistance towards progressive and humanistic value, not unfair competition. You can see the rice ATMs were set up by the people in public spaces here on the right side above, so that the poor people can get their rice. This is a community, I would like to confirm, this is a community spirit, a sense of solidarity among the Vietnamese people to help and support each other. The below one can see the people right at the turn. In the spirit of no one left behind, the whole country has been supporting Ho Chi Minh City, formerly known as Saigon. Ho Chi Minh City has faced the most serious COVID challenges and thus received the most support from the people. This support for Ho Chi Minh City is similar, I would like to say, to the support of the North for the South during the struggle against the US with the slogan, "All for our beloved southern region." You can see the vans and volunteers for Ho Chi Minh City on the above. And for example, the real $0 supermarket was set up so that the people can take the food they need for free. And here, the people have access to the oxygen ATM when needed on the left. And on the right, you can see the nurses and doctors from the Friendship Hospital of Hanoi volunteered to go to Ho Chi Minh City to help. We time of the pandemic, just like to critical time of the August Revolution and the struggle against the US, community solidarity is very important for the Vietnamese people. So I arrive to my conclusion. In conclusion, 76 years ago, under the leadership of the Communist Party of Vietnam, led by President Ho Chi Minh, the Vietnamese people stand up to carry out the August Revolution. Vietnam became an independent and free country. The spirit of the August Revolution is very important. With this spirit, the Vietnamese people have a better enemy, many enemies, the invader, famine, illiteracy, and now COVID-19. This spirit has inspired the Vietnamese people to fight against France and the US as they were determined to safeguard their independence. It was the very same spirit that inspired Vietnam in dealing with the crisis in the early 1980s and decided to carry out the reform in 1986, politically, economically, and culturally, to integrate regionally and internationally. And now, facing the crisis of the pandemic, which threatens Vietnam's security, not the traditional hard security, but rather the soft security, the Vietnamese people, under the leadership of the Communist Party of Vietnam, with the spirit of community solidarity, again stand up to fight the pandemic like fighting an enemy. The slogan, "No one left behind," is very popular among the people. It is a socialist society that the Vietnamese people and government try to build. But the question, some questions are, for example, is the independent and can socialists go hand in hand with a market economy? Can independence and socialism interrelated with each other? Will the Vietnamese people succeed in building a new society, a new collective democratic model? I myself believe strongly that the Vietnamese people will succeed, as they have proved in the past, successfully fighting against invader, famine, and illiteracy with community solidarity. That a new collective democratic model will also succeed in the future. So thank you very much. Any comments and questions are welcome. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Pham Quang Minh.